Hey everyone, please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps the channel. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going back in time, back to 1946, the Texarkana, a town that's, well, it's actually pretty unique, right?
Oh, absolutely. It sits right on the border of Texas and Arkansas, split right down the middle by the state line.
So you've got Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana, Arkansas, two sides of the same coin. And in 1946, this town became the setting for one of America's most infamous unsolved serial killer cases. We're diving into the Texarkana Moonlight Murders.
It's a case that really captured the nation's attention, not just because of how brutal the crimes were, but also because of the mystery surrounding the killer. The press called him the Phantom Killer, and he just seemed to vanish into thin air.
It's like something out of a noir film. You can picture it, right? Moonlit nights, young couples parked on those secluded lovers' lanes.
Completely oblivious to the danger lurking in the shadows.
And the sources really paint a vivid and terrifying picture of what happened, starting with the very first attack on February 22nd, 1946. The victims were Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Larray.
That first attack was brutal. The assailant used a pistol to beat Hollis, fracturing his skull, and then he sexually assaulted Larray.
It's almost more disturbing to think that Hollis and Larry actually survived that attack.
You're right, because they were able to give descriptions to the police, but it wasn't enough to catch the attacker.
Can you imagine the fear that must have gripped Texarkana knowing this guy was still out there?
Well, less than a month later, on March 24th, the bodies of Richard Griffin and Pollyann Moore were found in their car, parked on one of those secluded roads. But this time, the victims were executed, shot to the head.
No witnesses, barely any clues. It seems like the killer was getting bolder, and the fear in Texarkana must have been intensifying.
Absolutely. The randomness of it all, the lack of a clear motive, and the chilling efficiency of the killings just sent shockwaves through the community.
And it's that sudden escalation that's so unsettling. It's as if the killer flipped a switch.
Right. It suggests a level of premeditation and control that's just, well, it's chilling to think about. The murders of Griffin and Moore were so efficient.
Almost professional.
Exactly. And tragically, it didn't end there. On April 14th, 1946, Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker became the next victims. Paul was shot 4 times, and Betty Jo, who was just 15 years old at the time, was raped and shot twice.
One of the details that really stuck with me from the sources was the mention of Betty Jo's saxophone.
Ah, yes, the saxophone she was carrying home from a performance that night.
It was later found abandoned miles away from the crime scene.
And that detail right there adds another layer of complexity to the Phantom's profile. Investigators believe he took it as a trophy.
It makes you wonder about his motive. Was it simply about power and control? Or was there something even more sinister at play?
Well, trophy-taking like that often points to a need for dominance, a way for the killer to assert his control over the victims. It's a disturbing glimpse into his psyche.
Then on May 3rd, the final attack occurred. But this one was different. This time, instead of targeting a couple on a lover's lane, the Phantom broke into a home, shooting Virgil Starks through a window.
That shift in MO is really unnerving. It shows a willingness to escalate, to invade what should be a safe space, a victim's home.
Virgil's wife, Katie, was also shot twice in the face, but she managed to escape and run for help.
It's truly remarkable that she survived, a testament to her incredible strength and courage.
What I find baffling is that the killing stopped so abruptly after this. Was this attack the Phantom's breaking point? Or was there something else going on that we don't know about?
That's one of the biggest mysteries of this case. The sudden halt to the violence leaves us with so many unanswered questions. Did the killer die, get arrested for something else? Or did he simply choose to stop? We just don't know.
With the town on edge and no clear answers, the pressure on the police must have been immense. They quickly focused on a prime suspect. Yoel Swinney, a petty criminal with a history of violence and car theft.
What makes Swinney's case so interesting is that his wife actually confessed that he was the killer.
Wait, his wife confessed? So why wasn't he charged?
Well, that's where things get complicated. There were some legal technicalities involved, and due to those technicalities, her statement was ruled inadmissible in court.
Okay, so what were the specifics of those legal technicalities? That seems crucial to understanding why they couldn't pin the murders on him.
Unfortunately, the sources we have don't go into much detail about those specifics. But what we do know is that without that confession, they couldn't definitively link Swinney to the crimes. And so he was never charged with the Texarkana Moonlight Murders.
But here's the thing. Because the killing stopped so suddenly, some investigators started to question if Swinney was really the Phantom after all.
It's possible they had the wrong guy. Or maybe there was more than one killer operating at the same time. A copycat, perhaps?
There's also been speculation that the Phantom Killer could have been someone connected to the nearby military base.
Right. There were a number of suspects who were soldiers stationed at the base. But again, there was never enough evidence to make any arrests.
So we've got a town gripped by fear, a string of brutal murders, and a handful of suspects, but no concrete answers.
It's a classic whodunit, with the added layer of terror that comes from knowing this happened in real life. And it continues to fascinate and baffle us to this day. It's important to remember just how massive the investigation was. I mean, the Texarkana police and the Texas Rangers, they launched a full-blown manhunt.
I can only imagine. This was one of the biggest in Texas history at the time, right?
Absolutely. They set up roadblocks everywhere, interviewed countless people, even brought in a well-known forensic psychiatrist to help, to try and get inside the killer's head.
To build a profile.
Exactly.
And still, the Phantom Killer, he remained a complete mystery. The case blew up nationally, too, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Newspapers across the country were all over it. They really sensationalized the story, which didn't help with the public's fear.
Yeah, the media frenzy probably amplified the terror that was already gripping Texarkana.
For sure. I mean, the name Phantom Killer itself, that was a creation of the press. It just added to the whole mystique and fear surrounding the case.
Can you imagine what it must have been like to live in Texarkana during that time? As soon as the sun went down, every shadow, every sound.
It must have felt like a threat. People were terrified to go out at night, especially young couples.
The sources describe a town that was completely paralyzed by fear.
Oh, absolutely. Parents wouldn't let their teenagers go out on dates. Businesses suffered because nobody wanted to be out after dark. The whole social fabric of the town was just torn apart.
It's a stark reminder of how these kinds of crimes can completely shatter a community's sense of safety. And that fear, it didn't just vanish overnight, did it?
No, not at all. It lingered for years. It became a part of the town's identity, almost like a dark stain on its history.
And the legacy of the Texarkana Moonlight Murders extends far beyond just Texarkana, right? This case has become a staple of true crime. It's inspired books, documentaries, even a horror film.
The Town That Dreaded Sundown, released back in 1976.
Yeah, and that film, while it was fictionalized, it captured the fear that had taken hold of Texarkana.
And it also reflected that enduring fascination we have with unsolved mysteries, especially ones as chilling as this.
It's interesting, though, that even a film couldn't definitively answer the questions that still haunt us. Who was the Phantom Killer? Why did the attacks just stop? And was Yul Swinney really innocent, or did he somehow manage to escape justice?
These questions have been debated for over 70 years now. They captivate everyone from seasoned investigators to armchair detectives. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders truly remain one of America's most enduring cold cases.
It's a story that never seems to lose its grip, reminding us that sometimes the darkness really does win.
That, despite our best efforts, some mysteries just refuse to be solved. But it also highlights the resilience of a community, how people can come together even in the face of unimaginable terror.
The sources we looked at, while they don't give us concrete answers, they do offer some interesting insights. Like the killer's modus operandi, always attacking on weekends, late at night, targeting young couples parked in secluded areas.
Very specific. It suggests premeditation, a very deliberate choice of victims.
Exactly. These weren't just random acts of violence. The Phantom Killer was choosing his victims carefully.
Which is a chilling thought.
Absolutely. And the sources also explore the different theories about the case. We've discussed Yul Swinney, the possibility of a copycat, the military connection.
There are others too, some more far-fetched than others, of course, but the fact that there are so many theories just shows how much this case still captivates us.
Some people think the killer might have been just passing through town, a transient who left no trace behind. Others believe he had to be local, someone with knowledge of the area.
Every theory has its strengths and weaknesses, but none of them have been proven conclusively. And that's why, even after all these years, the Texarkana Moonlight Murders remain such a captivating case.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces, a story with no ending. And perhaps that's what keeps us so intrigued, the ambiguity, the not knowing. It keeps us guessing, keeps us searching for those answers.
Keeps us coming back to the story again and again.
So I'm curious, what do you think? Was Yul Swinney the Phantom Killer? Was it a copycat? Or was it someone else entirely? Someone who just managed to slip through the cracks and disappear?
It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And unfortunately, we may never know the answer for sure. But what's important is that we remember the victims, their families. They deserve justice. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders weren't just some sensational story for the tabloids. They were a series of real-life tragedies that left scars on an entire community and a nation captivated by this mystery.
It's a chilling reminder that even in the places we think are safe, darkness can still lurk in the shadows. And sometimes, no matter how hard we try, those shadows refuse to reveal their secrets.
Exactly. It's a testament to the power of mystery, to the resilience of a community faced with such terror, and to the importance of remembering the victims, even as we grapple with the unknowns.
We're back, and we're wrapping up our deep dive into the Texarkana Moonlight Murders. It's been a pretty chilling journey, exploring one of America's most infamous unsolved cases.
And as we've been discussing, it goes way beyond just a typical true crime story. This case speaks to how vulnerable we all are, really, the fear that can grip a whole community, and that lingering fascination we have with the unknown.
Right, it's not just a story you read about. The Texarkana Moonlight Murders, they changed the very fabric of that town, how people lived, how they interacted. It left a real mark.
Just imagine living in Texarkana in the wake of those attacks. Every little sound, every shadow. Could it be the phantom? Are they back? People were constantly on edge, looking over their shoulders, especially after dark.
Yeah, the sources we've looked at really highlight that. The town was basically living under a self-imposed curfew. Couples avoided those lovers' lanes, parents kept their kids close. It was like the phantom had this invisible hold over everyone.
He did, through fear. That was his weapon, even more so than the pistol. And that fear, it didn't go away quickly. It stayed with Texarkana for years, shaping the town's identity. It's almost like it became part of their folklore.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how this case still has such a hold on people. Even all these years later, the Texarkana Moonlight Murders continue to intrigue and fascinate people. It's like we're drawn to the unknown, to those unanswered questions.
It's the ultimate cold case, right? A puzzle with so many missing pieces. And maybe that's part of the reason we keep coming back to it. We want to find those pieces. We want to make sense of it all.
We want that resolution, that closure. But in this case, it might never come. We may never know for sure who the Phantom Killer was or why he did what he did. But even as we grapple with that mystery, it's so important that we remember the victims, the families left behind.
Absolutely. Their stories are at the heart of this. These were real people with lives, dreams, loved ones, and those lives were cut short in such a brutal and senseless way. We can't let their stories be overshadowed by the mystery itself.
We have to remember the human cost, the impact these crimes had, not just on the victims, but on an entire community.
It's a delicate balance, isn't it? We can be captivated by the mystery, the puzzle of it all. But we must never lose sight of the human lives that were lost, the families forever changed by these events.
So as we close out this deep dive, we want to leave you with this. What do you think happened? Was Yul Swinney the Phantom Killer? Was it a copycat? Or was it someone else entirely, someone who managed to vanish without a trace?
We'd love to hear your theories. Share your thoughts in the comments, check out the sources we've talked about, do some digging of your own, and maybe, just maybe, you'll uncover something new.
And that's it for this episode of The Deep Dive. We hope you found this exploration into the heart of a true crime mystery as chilling and thought-provoking as we did. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring the depths of the unknown. Please like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps the channel.